Hello and welcome everybody to the webinar of Funding Opportunities with Horizon Europe for Microfinance and Social Finance Providers. The webinar is organized as a part of Microfinance Center activities under EU project Financial Inclusion for Green Inclusive Growth in Europe. My name is Pavel Kapstorfer and I am MFC Network and Partnership Manager, and I will moderate today's webinar. Today, we will try to share with you the main information about one of the EU granting instruments, Horizon Europe. It is the biggest research and innovation program worldwide, with an overall budget amounting to almost 100 billion euro for the period of 2021-2027. Projects funded under this funding program tackle climate change, help achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and facilitate collaboration by strengthening the impact of research and innovation in developing, supporting, and implementing EU policies, and also tackling global challenges. In this webinar, you will learn how microfinance and social finance providers could use the funding, and also you will receive help, assistance, how to draft the application for this program. Let me talk now about our plan for today and also the housing rules. Our webinar is planned for about 90 minutes. That will include presentation from our expert speaker and your questions and answers session. The webinar is going to be recorded. We invite you to keep your cameras on, but please keep your microphone muted. My colleague Maria Salomon will be assisting you through the chat with any technical issues, and she will make sure that our session will go smooth. In case you would like to pose the question or comment, please do that via chat or raise your hand through dashboard under button reactions, and I will invite you to unmute and speak. At the end of the webinar, we would very much appreciate if you stay engaged for additional 1 minute to fill out our survey to evaluate the webinar. This feedback is very important to us. And now I have a pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Martina Paternity, Project Coordinator from European Network of Social Integration Enterprises. She has really significant experience with European programs. She worked more than 3 years with Euractiv and Pan-European Media Publishing on European affairs. As a European project manager, she managed a number of projects under several programs and initiatives like LIFE program, Horizon program, IMCAP, Cohesion Policy, REC program, Erasmus+. She has also worked as an independent beat writer. I'm also showing you this little description. And she was responsible for drafting technical and financial parts of project proposals addressed under different programs. Today, Martina is project coordinator at ENSI, and she is responsible for managing and supervising European projects, drafting project proposals, as well following policy dossiers, links to digitization and skills. Let me promote this important event for us, which is going to happen already next week. And this is already the 3rd edition of Social Finance Vibe with subtitle Empowering the Future. And it's going to be organized, as you see, 21st and 22nd November 2023. It is fully virtual, so online with free entry, and it will provide a fresh perspective of latest trends in the social economy, including green initiatives, digital innovation, skills building. We will offer over 20 sessions with more than 40 speakers, influential leaders in social finance, MFI representatives, investors, service providers, thought-provoking think tanks, and inspiring EU-level networks, as well as country-level associations. The registration is ongoing, and you are welcome to join more than 300 people who already registered. Let me give a floor to our speaker to share her experience and her presentation. Martina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pavel. Welcome all of you. It is a pleasure to be here today with you. Indeed, Pavel already introduced me. I'm gonna say just a few words about the organization I come from. So it's ENSI. It's called the European Network of Social Integration Enterprises. So we are an umbrella organization based in Brussels, and we represent what we call work integration social enterprises, which are a specific kind of social economy enterprises dealing with the integration of disadvantaged workers into the labor market. So we are dealing with a lot of advocacy and lobbying activities, and at the same time we are also very active when it comes to European projects, and indeed here it comes also my my role. I'm gonna share then my screen so we can go on and start. Okay, so indeed, I'm here today to speak about Horizon Europe. As Pavel already said, it is a very broad program amounting to almost 1 million euro. So there's a lot of information indeed to share, but I try also to focus on the relevant aspects, also according indeed to well your kind of sector. So let's start. This is the table of contents. So we are gonna talk about the overall objectives of the program with an overview indeed about the main elements of the program. We are gonna focus on the second pillar of the program because given there is a very large one, I had of course to choose to pick up the relevant themes and topics. We are gonna speak about the impact there is expected indeed, also some strategic orientations that could inspire you in terms also of project ideas indeed, types of projects and relevant goals that could indeed inspire your organizations, some essential notions in order to properly apply, so to be able to deal with the European projects and Horizon Europe projects in particular, some specific calls for proposals, how to deal with them, so how to draft actually a proper project proposal, and finally indeed my contact. So about the objectives of Horizon. So the overall budget of the European Union is normally managed on a 7 years basis. So it is called multi-annual financial framework, and this is why every funding program of the European Union is going to be reviewed every 7 years. So when it comes also to Horizon Europe, we can mention indeed the available budget for 2021-2027 period, which is the current indeed multi-annual financial framework, and it amounts to 95.5 billion euros, which is a huge amount, and this is also actually encompassing the funding available thanks to Next Generation EU, which is a subdomain of Horizon Europe. This is amounting to especially 5.4 billion euro. Sorry. So the overall objectives of the program are to promote industrial competitiveness, and indeed here we can also mention the approach of the European Union that is going on a sorry, that is going on a European industrial sector approach. Then one of the other objectives is to facilitate collaboration and straighten the impact of research and innovation, because this is the main research and innovation program of the European Union. Oh, yeah. My mic was, Pavel, we cannot hear you.
Fine. Now
Yeah. Now, can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay.
It should be okay.
Okay, there was an issue with the mic indeed. So it also aims at creating jobs, boosting economic development, and fully engages the European Union talent pool. And when it comes to the talent pool, we mean actually the competent people with the appropriate skills and qualifications and titles to be more attractive Europe-wide. It also aims at boosting the European Union competitiveness and growth. It also helps to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which are the more and more known a sort of bad topic we could say currently within the European Union. And it also supports the creation and diffusion of excellent knowledge and technologies. Of course, on top of this, there's also the fight against climate change. We know we hear the more and more the green transition, the digital transition. So every European program is aligning, of course, the European Union policy priorities, and Horizon Europe is not, of course, an exception. In general, also, given that it is a program, it is the biggest indeed program worldwide about research and innovation. There's a strong accent about this. So in developing and supporting the and in implementing also the European Union policies, but at the same time also tackling global challenges with a research approach. Okay, something also that I wanted to mention at this point that I think is relevant indeed for microfinance actors is that, well, one of the objectives is also to optimize investment impact within a strengthened European research area. So given that microfinance organization, social service providers, social finance providers are also enabling tiny actors in being more active when it comes to job creation. Of course, when it comes also to the European research area, this is also a crucial role you can play. Some additional information indeed about the overview of our program. We have a structure organized around pillars. We have three major pillars. So the first one is about excellent science. So there's a very strong focus indeed about academic actors. Then we have the second pillar, which is about global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. And this is divided in clusters, and it amounts to overall 53.3 billion euros. And then we have the third pillar, which is about innovative Europe in general. So we have indeed a strong accent about the European Research Center, which is an agency of the European Union, which is indeed focusing on providing access to finance, in particular to research centers, university, but also researchers and so on. European innovation ecosystems. So this kind of approach, which is focused on business sectors, but also there's a strong collaboration with the European Innovation and Technology, European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which is collaborating indeed also with this approach on European innovation ecosystems, which is connecting also with the regional and national innovation actors. We are gonna focus on pillar 2, because I think this is where microfinance organizations, but also indeed social finance providers could also be more interested. And also there's a very big budget related to this second pillar. So we are gonna now go in depth about this. So pillar 2, clusters. There are several topics that are covered. So I was saying the second, it is pillar 2 is organized around clusters. What are clusters? Clusters are topic areas. So anytime we are looking for a call for proposals in the framework of Horizon Europe, we are also going to approach clusters. So we have 6 clusters indeed. The first one is health. The second one is culture, creativity, and inclusive society, which is whose budget is amounting to a total of 280 billion euros, and this is very interesting when it comes indeed to social actors, social inclusion, but also work integration, vulnerable groups, and job market. So yeah, labor market in general. So I'm gonna also mention something more about that in the next slides. Then we have the third cluster, which is about civil security for society. The fourth cluster, which is about climate, energy, and mobility, and this is amounting to an overall budget of 15.123 billion euros. Then we have digital industry in space. So this is also quite interesting when it comes indeed to digital transition, providing also specific providing specific tools to a larger audience of actors, SMEs. And this is amounting to an overall budget of 15 billion euros. And then we have the sixth cluster, which is about food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. So this is also aiming at the green transition, fight against climate change, and so on. So so I wanted also to stress some specific key impact pathways to understand also what Horizon Europe programs and projects are expected to impact. So what are actually what is our project expected to change when it comes indeed to the implementation of such a project, of such projects. So we have we can cluster them in three kind of impacts. We have first a scientific impact. So this is about creating high quality new technologies and knowledge. So this is very related to academic and research centers. But then we also have strengthening human capital in research and innovation, and also fostering diffusion of knowledge and open science. So if I think, for instance, of a possible approach that microfinance organization, social finance providers can have in such a scientific impact approach, by collaborating with specific actors, indeed dealing with the research, with the innovation, with the data analysis. This kind of projects can of course foster access to finance to such actors, such researcher actors who are struggling normally in finding also their own way in being financed in terms of research topics. And thanks to such projects, of course, joining forces in order to boost also the research aspect, and then having a higher scientific impact worldwide. Then we have another kind of impact, which is the societal one. So this is indeed about addressing EU policy priorities and global challenges through research and innovation. How? So basically, when we implement European projects, so also Horizon Europe projects, I already mentioned it, we have consortia of partners which are gathering different kinds of organization. Everyone is coming up with its own expertise, its own missions and specific activities. So even though this is a research program and academic partners need to play a major role, because of course we need to develop some specific concepts about research and innovation, other kind of actors are also called to transfer this knowledge on the ground, and then on the policy level. So it means actually we need, in the framework of an Horizon project, we also need some organizations enabling this transfer from the research field to the policy maker level. It means that we want to, the European Union somehow is also seeking for this knowledge transfer. Sector representatives, political organizations can also be more effective when advocating, because they can demonstrate that they can advocate on the basis of some data, some figures and analysis that have been carried out, whose results are available thanks to Horizon Europe programs. And then on the other hand, we also have some organizations that are working on the field and that are enabling pilot tests on the ground in order to gather this data and be able to apply actually the results of the research that has been carried out on a previous level, just on a theoretical way, in the form of, for instance, of a desk research, and then it's gonna be more applicable indeed on the ground. So here it comes in the delivering benefits and impact via research and innovation missions, and then strengthening the uptake of research and innovation in society. So this is the research can also be about indeed making better the link between indeed microfinance providers and SMEs on a local level. And then try indeed to scale them up, uptake them also on a political level, also not when it comes to the European policy, but also when it comes to the local or regional level. And then we also have another kind of impact that we can cluster on a economic impact. So it's about generating innovation-based growth, but also creating more and better jobs and leveraging investments in research and innovation. This is one of my last slides at general level, but these are, I think, very important things that we need to take into account when applying indeed for Horizon projects. So we need to also bear in mind the fact that we are dealing with strategic priorities, strategic orientations that are very much linked to European Union priorities indeed. So we have 4 major strategies. First, promoting an open
Martina? Yeah, you're back. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so promoting an open strategic autonomy by leading the development of key digital and enabling and emerging technologies, sectors, and value chain. So this is indeed in order to accelerate and steer the digital and green transitions through a human-centered technologies and innovation approach. The idea is also to foster boost also some actors playing a major role within the European Union, of course. Then we have the second strategy, which is about restoring Europe's ecosystems and biodiversity and sustainably managing natural resources. So once again, this is very much linked with the fight against climate change, the green transition. And somehow we can also mention in this is to ensure food security and a clean, healthy environment through the transformation of its mobility, energy, construction, and production system. Then we have the third strategy, which is about making Europe the first digitally enabled circular, climate neutral and sustainable economy. And finally, we have the fourth strategy, which is about creating a more and resilient, inclusive and democratic European society. So this is about the democratic governance somehow. So being more inclusive when it comes to societal matters, vulnerable groups, and so on. So now I'm gonna go the more and more into concrete terms. So we have 4 main kinds of projects within Horizon Europe. We have the so-called research and innovation action, So this is normally we have an acronym. So in my slides you will note different kind of acronyms. So I'm going to explain them now. So everything I hope is going to be clear. Of course, you will receive also these slides as follow-up by Pavel after this webinar. But you will find also some hyperlinks. My colleague Virginia is gonna also post them anytime I'm gonna advance in my slides, so you can also check them out in the chat. We have indeed the research and innovation actions. So these are, I would say, the most popular kinds of projects within Horizon Europe, and they foresee 100% of EU co-financing, of EU funding. So normally they are projects about establishing new knowledge or improved technology, product, process, service, or solution. Then we have innovation action. So these are projects normally funded at 70%. It means that normally organizations applying for that and then carrying out such projects are called to come up with the additional 30% of co-financing. These are normally kinds of projects producing plans or designs for new or improved products, processes, or services, including prototyping, for instance. Then we have the so-called CSA, which are coordinating and support actions. They are projects funded at 100%. It means that we are not called to cover any kind of budget, fortunately. And these are normally kinds of projects aiming at improving cooperation among European Union institutions or countries, where we can say European Union member states and associated countries to strengthen the European research area. So when it comes, for instance, to research and innovation actions, when it comes to coordinating and support actions, participation from third countries, meaning countries beyond the European Union, is strongly encouraged. And then we have a fourth strand, which is co-fund. And this is program co-fund action indeed. These are kinds of projects normally providing multi-annual co-funding for European partnerships, and they are normally funded between 30 and 70% from the European Union. So normally applicants are called to cover the rest of the budget. In my presentation, I'm gonna focus on research and innovation actions because I think those ones are the most relevant for you. But we can go on to the next slides indeed. So we have so I tried to select some examples of cause that I think may be interesting for you. This list is definitely not exhaustive. So here I have a link. So Virginia is gonna share with you a link in the chat from Cordis. So Cordis is a repertory that has been created by the European Union where you can find examples of projects already financed under the under the Horizon Europe program. You can select, you can filter by using different kinds of criteria. Topic, for instance, but also geographical coverage, kinds of organizations that have been financed. So it's indeed the main platform. So for the main platform for Horizon Europe projects. So here I selected also indeed some calls. I'm going to explain also how they are normally clustered. So you can see the first word is Horizon, because we are talking indeed about Horizon Europe. Then there's CL. I can hear some echo.
Okay, let us see if any participant unmuted. Okay, it seems it stopped.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue. Sorry for that. I don't know where it comes from, but
yeah,
most important is it's okay now.
Yes. Yes, I was explaining indeed how you can also find for this kind of calls and what is this type of code that there is normally used. So Horizon, because indeed we are talking about Horizon Europe as funding program. Then you have CL2, which is cluster 2. So you may remember I was explaining the clusters, the cluster structure, and the fact that we have different kind of clusters. So this is, for instance, about the second clusters, which is about also social inclusion, access to market, job creation, and so on. So this is about indeed cluster 2. Then we have 2024, because it's a call there is available for 2024. So the deadline is going to be in 2024. Then we have democracy, because this is the specific topic we are talking about. And then 0102, this is a specific strand. I'm not gonna explain this because I don't want you to get lost on this kind of details, but at least the first part of the call is clear. And then we have the exact title of the call. So multi-level governance in times of digital and climate transition. So here, for instance, this is a call that is going to focus indeed in making creating actually different levels of governance structure, try to involve different kind of actors from the local level, passing through the regional level, and then accessing also the European level, to get more involvement from in general the overall society. Then we have, I selected as another call. There is about strengthening economic fairness and the resilience of active labor market policies and address high unemployment. So once again, I think actually microfinance organizations or social finance providers are playing a major role when it comes indeed to getting access to some specific jobs, collaborating also with some incubators. So this can be, I think, a relevant call. Then I selected a third one about to minimize costs and maximize benefits of job creation and job destruction. So once again, trying to mitigate also the different challenges we are encountering, we are facing currently in the labor market by considering an overall approach. So the twin transition, the green transition, but also the digital transition, the COVID-19 pandemic, but also of course, the war, the migrations, and so on. Then I selected a fourth one about called Beyond the Horizon, a human-friendly deployment of artificial intelligence and related technologies. So once again, collaborating with some incubators, collaborating also with some with some digital providers, with enterprises that are facilitating access to digital tools, for instance, dealing with artificial intelligence, so they can also contribute to a sustainable transformation and to make, for instance, some jobs more accessible for persons with disabilities, for instance. I'm mentioning some examples, but then, of course, you also need to be more, creative in general to develop some project ideas. And then I also selected a fifth call. So these are, just to be clear, once again, these are all calls that are open today and whose deadline is between February and March. So you can definitely go looking for them and think of possible ideas. And then a fifth call I selected is about assessing and strengthening the complementarity between new technologies and human skills, which is somehow similar to the previous one I selected, but then of course you need also to go check out the specific terms outlined in the code document. So I know there may be some questions, but I have also a slide to gather questions and then to go more into details. So I wanted actually to explain some essential notions that may be useful when dealing in general with the project management, when dealing with the applications towards indeed the European funding and in particular of Horizon Europe funding. So we have first consortium or partnership. So I already mentioned this. Now I'm going to explain it more into details. So a consortium is is actually organizations applying together for a project proposal. So the consortium, there is also called partnership, that's exactly the same thing, is composed of a coordinator organization and partner organizations. So the number of organizations within a consortium may vary according to the call requirements. Normally, in Horizon, there's no specific requirement about the number of organizations within a consortium. I can tell you that normally it's never below 10 partners. So it's about big consortia, because projects are also very important. They are very ambitious. There's a stronger research component, but that's not the only one. We need indeed a different kind of expertise within the consortium. Then we have and it's also about the budget, because the higher the budget, the higher the number of partners is supposed to be when applying for a project. So we have a consortium. We have different kinds of roles within a consortium. We have the coordinator, which is the leading partner in charge of managing the whole consortium. And this is mainly applying, of course, for the implementation of the project once it is awarded. So the coordinator normally provides some guidelines to comply with administrative, but also financial and technical contractual requirements. And it is also the main contact point for the funding authority, for the managing authority. So we have let's say the European Commission or the European agency that is dealing indeed with our Horizon project or with our project in general. And the coordinator is somehow an intermediary between the funding authority, so the European agency, and the rest of the consortium, which is composed of several partners. Then we have the notion of beneficiary. So the beneficiary as term is quite tricky because when it comes to the funding authority, when it comes to the European Commission, the managing authority, the beneficiary is the partner organization that is implementing the project and that is also receiving funding, the European funding. From the partner perspective, from the consortium perspective, the beneficiary is actually the person benefiting of the project outcomes and impacts. So somehow it is the target group of our project. So this is quite tricky. This is why indeed I'm putting the two versions. Then we have another important term, which is grant. So the grant is the subsidy that is received by the funding authority. Normally, according to the European Union principles, it is not possible to get any profit over a European Union grant. Then we have the term of the term of grant agreement. So the grant agreement is the contract between the coordinator organization or the consortium of partners according to the project and the funding authority, meaning the agency of the European Union or the European Commission. And this is establishing all the requirements and criteria to comply with during the project implementation. Then we have, so anytime we have any kind of doubt when implementing the project, once it is awarded, normally we are always able to find a solution, to find a response, let's say, in the grant agreement. Then we have the notion of associated partner. So the associated partner differs from the notion of partner, of beneficiary, which was in my previous slide. Because the organization, being an associated partner, is supposed to contribute on some aspects to the project implementation without receiving a direct funding from the European Union. This is very important because the associated partner can contribute, for instance, just as a speaker or just by providing some specific data for our analysis, but they are not receiving any kind of funding. Then we have the notion of work package. This is very important because it is, the work package is a set of activities and outputs organized according to the project objectives. So most of the European projects, including Horizon Europe, are articulated through our package structure. And these also need to be explained when applying for a project. And of course, we need to follow the same kind of structure when it comes to the implementation. Then, so we have the notion of, so here there's a mistake. Actually, this is not a grant agreement. This is this is task. So tasks are activities to implement within our package, consisting in processes leading to outputs. So the idea is that we have some processes to implement during our projects. And thanks to this kind of, well, I can provide you with some examples. We need to carry out a mapping of microfinance services around Europe. So the mapping is a task. And then at the end, we will have the output, which is our deliverable. And the deliverable is a report where there are all the different features about this mapping. So with the different geographical focus, what are the microfinance services provided in Germany? What are the ones provided in Poland, the ones provided in Azerbaijan, and so on. So then we have the notion of impact. So the impact is how the project is going to change something that has been pointed out in the background or needs analysis of our project proposal. So we need to take into account, of course, target groups of our projects. So the ultimate beneficiaries of our project, to think of the possible impact also in the long term of our project. Then we have the term of KPIs, so key performance indicators. Normally, this is also very important. They can be quantitative, but also qualitative indicators, and they are basically criteria to measure the progress of the project in terms of impact and outputs. So here I try also to put some examples: number of participants, number of final beneficiaries, languages used to deliver an output, outreach for dissemination activities, and so on. Anytime we are preparing such an application, we need also to list what kind of KPIs, of key performance indicators, are relevant for activities of our project. And this is how evaluators can also consider whether our project is specific, is well designed or not. Then we have long-term sustainability, and this is a strategy that is foreseen to ensure the results of the project and its impact that will keep on beyond the project life cycle. This is very important because when evaluators are dealing with the assessment of project proposals of the different applications, the long-term sustainability, the impact in the long term after the project life cycle is an important criterion. So now I'm gonna have a short break of 2-3 minutes, if possible, to gather some questions.
Thank you, Martina. I don't see any question in the chat or comments, so feel free, if you do not understand anything what she's saying, or you would like to ask a concrete question, how you could apply, in your proposals, what she's saying, feel free, or yeah, try to raise your hand. I will also invite you to speak up. Otherwise, Martina, I just, wanted to make sure that you are able to go through your slides on time. So
Okay,
maybe,
I will go on.
I will leave certain items up to you to decide where you can shorten your explanations.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, feel free, think and put it in a chat. I think you see, I mean, all these explanations, they are very complex and heavy. So it's important to, break them down to maybe some concrete ideas or questions from your side. And given that Martina has sufficient experience, she could advise whether your ideas would be still eligible.
Indeed, absolutely. Well, I mean, at this point, I will go on, and you can always reach me out via email. So here it comes. Indeed, I will try indeed to speed up, but here we have a lot of interesting information, hopefully for you. We put an hyperlink. Virginia is also sharing this into the chat. Where to apply? So you need always to apply through the funding and tenders portal, which is managed indeed by the European Commission. It's always via online platform. There you can find, you can look for calls for proposals, and then you will also be able to click for submission, but also you will also be able to look for potential partners.
Martina, I mean, we have now now direct questions regarding what you were just saying. Is Albania an eligible country for these calls, which you listed?
Absolutely.
And the other question we received from Marco, which are the most eligible organizations for the call you showed us?
So every kind of organization is eligible. Every kind. So this is actually one of the major news about the new Horizon Europe programming period. The legal status does not really matter, because foundations, for-profit organizations, social enterprises, any kind of organization is eligible. You only need to specify what is, how your organization is fitting within the project idea you are developing and the consortium of partners.
Super, thank you.
So about the calls for proposals, I'm gonna now focus on the different stages to draft indeed a project proposal. So first, we have the registration onto the portal, and this is the portal I was mentioning in my previous slide. So the funding and tenders portal, every partner organization being part of a consortium needs to have an account in the funding and tenders portal to get a PIC number. The PIC is the participant identification code. This is for free. You don't need to pay anything in case, because sometimes I also receive this question. Once you enter the main data, main information of your organization, you will be granted with a PIC. And this is required for all applications to Horizon Europe projects, and also to other funding programs, actually. The second step is to draft a concept note. So this is normally done by the coordinator. So by the organization that is leading actually the application. And it is a 1-2 pages document with all the main information of your project idea. So normally in the framework of an Horizon Europe project, the coordinator organization is an academic partner or a research partner. But this does not mean that you cannot contact, you cannot reach out to academic or research partners to suggest also your own ideas if you spot some interesting or relevant cause that can be beneficial for your own missions, your own organizations. So you can suggest some ideas, so the coordinator can also develop its own concept note, or you can build it together on a joint way. So you have indeed, well, here I put a list of the main information that normally a concept note is supposed to gather. I'm not gonna read them because we don't have a lot of time, but you can read them. Here I put an example of concept note, so you can see what it looks like. As I already said, it's 1-2 pages document. So this is a 1-page document. As you can see, there's on the top main information about the European program. So in this case, it was SERV, but that's also about Horizon. Then the title of the project, sometimes this is only found at the very end of our application process, but if you have already some idea, you can feel free to put it. Then you have the kind of budget available, the deadline for submission, some ideas about the purpose and objectives of the project you have, the target groups we are addressing, also the kind of activities in a very shortened way that we are thinking of developing. Then further information indeed about the budget and the kind of partnership consortium that we are aiming at. Okay. Here we have other kind of stages. So we are going always forward. I'm sorry, Pavel, everyone, I just need 1 minute. 1 second, please.
Yes.
1 second.
Okay. We received few more questions, so I'm going to ask Martina after a few slides. She's going again to have a slide with questions and clarifications. So I would ask you to be patient and I will ask the questions which you posted in the chat. Thank you. And also feel free to raise your hand if you would like, to get the live. That would be also nice. And you have to be always creative and innovative, right, with these EU proposals, because many times you need to read between the lines what is written, and yeah, to be creative, to develop your idea within the brackets which are mentioned within the the dossier or calls of these EU programs. So that is the same for the last webinar we had on Interact with Martina, and this is the same for Horizon here. So just don't get distracted that it's maybe the language is not really very relevant and precise to microfinance sector, but there is a lot which can be explored within digitalization, digital transformation, green transition, serving vulnerable groups. Maybe you would need to pay a consultancy for certain project to serve your needs, and you could organize it within the proposal over here, engaging relevant organizations or companies which can share and deliver this knowledge and expertise. So
Yeah.
thinking that way, you know, about potential drafting of the proposals. Martina, you are back. Please continue.
Sorry. So about the third step, so I would say it is very important to address objectives and establish activities accordingly. In general, we always need to think on broad terms. So you have some overarching objectives that are also addressed in the call document. And you are also called to outline some specific objectives that are very characteristic of your project ideas, of the missions of the organizations composing your consortium. So link the objectives of your proposal to the objectives, priorities of the call, by also taking into account features and needs of the implementation countries. This is very important because we always need to take into account the contexts, the background, the geographical coverage of your own project. And you, as organization based in your own country, are the best placed, best suited to acknowledge what are the needs and the objectives that need to be reached out through your project. Then, as fourth step, we have the creation of a consortium. So this is about checking the call requirements. Sometimes there are also some specification. Sometimes not. Normally, there's a minimum, but there's never a maximum. Never a maximum. So I always suggest to go for bigger numbers, let's say. So complementarity in expertise and the role of partners, of course, so pay attention to objectives and activities and try to optimize. And also stress the background and experience of each partner to argue about the appropriateness of the choice. So this is something actually I would like to stress. I'm not gonna be able to go through all my slides, unfortunately, but I think actually this is a very important point to stress. You need to acknowledge what is your role within a consortium as organization. You need to understand what is your added value for such a project, and accordingly, you will be able to explain it also in the application. So what is the benefit of having a social finance provider to implement our research project? That can definitely be multiple, actually, according to the mission of your own organization and so on. But there's no exact answer, actually. So this is also where it comes to flexibility and creativity from your side. So here I also try to put some tips. So it's always good to relate to a research academic partner when it comes to Horizon, but build also some partners you already know and your own networks, because we need the mutual trust. We are talking about receiving public funding. We are talking about receiving responsibility also from indeed the European Union institutions to implement indeed activities that can impact somehow. So you need also to partner with organizations you rely upon. Then there's also the fact that you always need to have a clear role within the composition of the consortium. This means, once again, that there could be the organization carrying out a research, carrying out a study, a mapping. Then there can be another organization dealing with beneficiaries on the ground, dealing with the pilot activities on the ground. There can be another organization transferring, for instance, relevant information from the research field to the policy level, whether at local level, whether at regional level, whether at national level, whether at European level. And please remember, the European Union institutions are always looking forward policy recommendations in order also to enhance this governance from the ground. So connect also to strategic partners, and here we can mention indeed academic institutions, public authorities, indeed the sector representatives, organizations able to pilot on the ground. Use also the funding and tenders portal to look for potential partners. There's a research tool that you can find, and this is also linked to specific goals. I think this is very well done, so I strongly advise you to use such a tool.
And Virginia just posted the link in the chat for those who are interested to test.
Thanks. Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, it's also worth having different partners leading different work package, and this is also to enhance this division of roles and different expertise contributing indeed to the specific objectives of your project. You always have to keep in mind that the objectives and the results you want to achieve need to be aligned. And then so we also have the needs analysis and background. So I already mentioned that, so I'm gonna go quite quickly within this slide. Try to keep in mind the geographical context, the news feed as well. What are the political issues that are pressing currently on the ground, so you would be able also to address them thanks to your project. And of course, take into account that you can develop also synergies with other actions that are already active on the ground, not only other European projects, but also activities that you may already implement with your own network, with your own customers, clients, and so on. Here, I also try to put some tips about the needs analysis and activities. So try always to keep in mind that you have your needs, then you have your objectives, and that's thanks to the activities that you are proposing within your own project that you will be able to achieve the objectives. So this is the idea. Here I try also to explain in another form of what I was saying. You have backgrounds and needs. On the other hand, you have objectives, and in the middle, as a means to achieve the objectives, you have activities. Any question or doubt now?
Yeah, Martina, we receive in chat couple of questions, so I just noted them down. Let me paraphrase them. So could organization from Albania be a coordinator of the project?
Yes.
All right. Then if we are Moroccan organization, do we need a EU partner to apply?
It's not a rule, but it's a suggestion, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Normally, maybe something that I need to specify is that we cannot apply if we are a single organization. This is why I was saying about consortia of partners, different roles within a consortium. We always apply in partnership.
All right. Next one is it mandatory to have a research organization as a partner?
It's not mandatory, but it's always a plus. Let's say I've never seen any Horizon project funded without a research center or a university.
All right. And the last one on my list is, can we apply in French?
Good question. So I think this is something actually I would need to double check. In general, if I'm not wrong, I think it is possible, but there are actually some main information, for instance, the abstract or administrative forms that always need to be submitted in English, because evaluators are evaluating in English, and well, they need actually access to general information in English. Then there can be evaluators, of course, in other languages. But I will double check later on and come back to you.
Okay, thank
via
you.
email.
So for time being, this is it.
Sorry,
I think we
sorry,
have
Pavel.
last.
Sorry,
Yes.
Martina. There is actually another question who was made by a participant, but as a mistake directly to me. So I
Okay.
can just
Yes,
say,
please go ahead.
who can require a PIC, the organization or also a partner?
The organization is supposed to be a partner. So the organization applying, so the organization is becoming a partner as soon as the organization is part of a consortium. So any kind of organization there is applying for a European project, an Horizon Europe project, is supposed to have a PIC number and to register on the portal.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, which will be the best partner for a microfinance institution?
So I would say start indeed from a research center or a university, because this is actually where everything can start. You have your own idea, given that we are talking about Horizon Europe, and we need to develop a concept about research and analysis. Everyone can indeed bring its own interests, and then you can enlarge it to other kind of partners, other kind of organizations.
Okay, when the calls are open?
The ones I put in one of my previous slides are already open. And they have, some are closing in February, some are closing in March. But every year there are new ones. And in the portal, whose link Virginia also put in the chat, you can also select the year. And you can also select whether they are forthcoming, so we expect them to be published soon, or whether they are already open.
Okay, thank you. What budget value has a small-scale partnership?
I would say, well, the problem is actually there are no rules. It's very flexible. Small scale partnership, I would say something like around starting from 1 million, I would say, because Horizon Europe are quite big projects then, and given they're also entailing a big consortia, so a lot of partners, you always need to foresee a big budget for every partner organization.
Can research center and microfinance be from the same country, for example, Albania?
Absolutely, yes.
After applying with a draft concept note, will we have a green light to continue and develop the project?
Well, can you repeat the question?
If after applying this draft concept note, will we have a green light to continue and develop a project?
So it actually depends on the call. Normally, so you have actually different kind of calls. So you have one single one step calls and two steps calls. The two steps calls normally yes, this is how it is indeed. You apply with a concept note, then you receive the green light, and you can apply for the second step, and then you will receive the notification whether your project is awarded or not. But when it comes to the one-step calls, which are actually most part of calls, the concept note is not really a requirement. The concept note was one of my tips I was giving you in order to start drafting a project proposal. So the European Union is not asking you for a concept note. This is a means, this is a tool you will use in order to reach out to potential partners, to reach out, for instance, to a university, a research center, a sector representative, a social enterprise, an umbrella organization, in order to let them understand what is your project idea, what are the main information about the call, and then you will further go away with the partnership.
All right. Let's continue. Last 3 slides to present from your side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know actually if this is really okay. I will try. I will try to speed up. So indeed, how a proposal is composed. You have part A, which is the administrative part, and this normally always needs to be filled out onto the portal. So you have general information, abstract, duration in months, keywords. Then you have the partner organizations actually. So that's the peak. The peak number is what I was mentioning before. The contact persons for every partner organization. The researchers involved in the project, because here we are talking about Horizon, so they want to know what are the researchers involved in the project. But this is not always relevant for every kind of organization. I come from ENS, indeed, which is not a research center, it's not a university. We don't have researchers within our staff, but it's gonna be a relevant information for other organizations, part of your consortium, of course. Then we have the budget, of course, where you have a breakdown per partner and per budget category. Then we have the part B. So the part B is the core part of your project. It's the technical part. So there's a template to download from the portal and that you will need to fill out. And it includes several sections. You have the excellence part with the objectives and ambition, but also the methodology. Impact, this is including specific needs, expected results, dissemination, exploitation, and communication measures, target groups, outcomes, and impact. So now you may find some of the terms that I was explaining in in some of my previous slides when I was explaining some essential notions. So this is where we need to explain such concepts. So then we have a part on quality and efficiency of the implementation. So indeed, the work plan. The work plan is composed indeed of resources, including work packages, once again, tasks, deliverables, milestones, critical risks, but also figures on staff effort in person months, and then capacity of participants and consortium as a whole, including involved countries. Something also that I wanted to specify is about the budget, which is an important part indeed of our proposal, of the project proposal. So the budget is divided into different categories. We normally have this kind of categories. So staff costs, and normally they are asked into person months format. So what is person months format? So the person months is actually the human effort. And that's the metric for the time, meaning effort, that the key personnel of an organization devotes to a specific project. I'm not gonna detail this because this would require a lot of time, but at least you have the definition, and if you want, of course, you can check on the web. Then we have subcontracting costs. So normally they cannot be higher than 30%. And they need to be duly justified because it's about outsourcing. Normally, the consortium of partners normally is supposed to have all the expertise required to develop, to carry out all the different activities that you are describing in your project proposal. Then you have travel and subsistence costs. And this is also, of course, including accommodation. Then you also have equipment costs. So for this, you need to calculate also amortization, which is a bit technical. So I normally always suggest to avoid equipment costs. And then there are indirect costs, which are normally up to 25% of the total budget, but they don't need to be justified. So this is a very good news because 25% of overheads is quite high. Okay, so here I'm at the end of my presentation. Thanks very much for your attention. Here I put my contact details, so feel free, of course, to reach me out. But maybe we have still 1 minute. Don't know if there's any other question. Well, if there are some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Martina. Perfect on time. Yes, we have one more in chat. Request from Krzysztof. Can we go online to the funding portal to show us how to find these calls, as there seems to be 348 calls now? Yeah, I don't know what capacity do you have to show, or maybe advise or give some guidance, what parameters to
this was at the beginning of my presentation. Indeed, to look for appropriateness, you should look at the year. So normally, hold on, maybe I can reshare the slide if you don't mind.
Sure. Because it has some indicators, right, by which you can search.
Exactly. So here it comes indeed. Okay. So here we have Horizon, which is indeed the funding program. CL stands for cluster. So and 2 is cluster 2. So cluster 2, cluster 2 is culture, creativity, and inclusive society. So cluster 3, for instance, is civil security for society. Cluster 4 is digital industry and space. Cluster 5 is climate, energy, and mobility. So clusters are related to topics. So this is a criterion, of course, that you can take into account. Then here we have 2024. This means that the call is applying for 2024, and the deadline is going to be in 2024. So when looking for these kinds of calls in the portal, you can also select open calls, forthcoming calls, or closed calls, and so then you narrow them down. And then, of course, here we have, for instance, democracy. So this would be a topic more related to democracy. You can also search for keywords. So keywords are very important. If you are looking for so finance access, you know, or job, labor access to the labor market, you can also type labor market and find out kind of course dealing with such keywords.
Thank you, Martina. I think yeah, it's very useful, and it gives people idea how to seek through the keywords or through this label. Good. So I think we are at the end of the webinar. We still have this poll, so please, my colleague Maria, if you could launch this poll prior I say goodbye to all of you, we would really appreciate very much if you could answer the questions which are going to appear on your screen. As you see, 4 questions, 4 simple questions. And meanwhile, you know, I hope that you like the webinar. I think within such a short period of time, you are going or you receive useful information, which otherwise you would need to, you know, go through too many pages maybe and orient yourself what it is about. So I assume these short webinars are useful for you, you know, to really get a good and basic understanding what it is about and how you can utilize this type of fundings. So feel free, you know, to comment whether we should do it, you know, differently, or you suggest any other EU program which we could also portray to you, and we will prepare something in that along these lines in our future webinars. And of course, you will be very much welcome to join the Social Finance Wipe, which is going to be organized already next week. Number of really interesting sessions. There will be really short ones, like 40 minutes and 20 minutes. So it will not take too much time from you, and you can engage in any session you like. Okay, so I think let's finalize this webinar for now. Thank you very much, Martina. Thank you for assistance, Virginia. And yeah, feel free to approach us in case you would have any questions.